The problem may be in which A-shuns we choose to associate with. I said A-shuns, not Asians. Tune out your assumptions, fine-tune your filters, tune on your hearing aids, and let's turn on our brains, which can also be called appreciation. And it's time for another unbuckled, bumpy ride with your guide, the stark-raving LEAN-atic himself. I'm Jim. Let's jump right in again. Welcome to my podcast based on my brand new book, available on Amazon, Live Life Lean, L-E-A-N. It's a year-long guide to gratitude and our daily grind. The book that combines some timeless wisdom from a whole lot of the world's wiser people with the reflections, reactions, and wisecracks of the guide's author, me. And it guides you, the reader, through the simplest system for a happy, healthy, authentic, and genuinely grateful everyday experience. I urge you to get the book. Of course I do. I wrote it. It's either at Amazon or at my website, ampurage.com. A-M-M-P-U-R-A-G-E. But even without it, let's make next week better than last, our next year better than the past, and get started now with today's episode of Because Our Nation is Being Overrun With and Now Has Too Many of the Wrong A-shuns. And that's the fault of one specific race. No, I'm not talking any of the Asian races, diverse and valuable as they are to our nation. They should be protected and respected every bit as much as any other. Nor is the fault of the Caucasian race, now more misaligned, I should say, than in ever memory before. It is instead the fault of the human race. Across the color spectrum as broad as any hardware store paint department, we are seeing the normalization of becoming a nation too poorly skilled at association with the best A-shuns. So what are we going to do about it? Ask most folks, and most frequently, most of what you may find is Rationaliz-ations, Justific-ations, Procrastin-ations, Discrimin-ations, and Generaliz-ations, leading to Contamin-ations, and further Victimiz-ations. It's like being steamrolled by reasons why nothing can be done about it because it's just too hard. Or it's someone else's issue and, let me get you a tissue. Cry me a river and cry me niddly. There's just diddly that anyone can do about it. It's just too hard to stop, and we're all being steamrolled by the negativity. Maybe so. Maybe there ain't much anyone can do about it, but there's so much that everyone can do about it a little bit, every one of us at a time. I have a client who tells his story, his personal story, about the explanation of the how and why he responds to what is likely our society's most frequently asked but insufficiently answered question. Whenever he's asked, "How you doing?" he responds with what I would call a deliberate, purposeful positive, like, "I'm awesome," or "wonderful and grateful," and sometimes, "I feel great." And no, it's not Tony the Tiger, but this guy is a really cool cat. He told me how he used to question whether or not folks wanted to hear that profuse positivity, that he wondered if it was alienating. But then he had someone tell him it was exactly what people needed. And if you, if him, if I, if any of us, if we have what people need and we withhold it from them, that's the real sin. As a matter of fact, we've spoken about this before, that the word sin, sin, S-I-N, is in many Latin dialects literally the word for without or for withheld from. I don't want to withhold any jokes from you. Time to laugh. Really bad joke time. Got this from a very positive, loving person. A lobster, a shrimp, a salmon, and a steamrolled Malaysian. Which of these does not belong? Tick, 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 tick. Time's up. The salmon, of course. The other three are all crushed A-shuns. Okay, well, That was a bad Ation, but there are so many, just as many good Ations as bad, I would wager. It's just a question of which we choose to chew the fat with, to spend our time and energy with, which Ations we have relations with. I mentioned some before, and there's probably a million more, but for every negative Ation connotation, there is an alternate version or iteration that provides the world with inspiration and hopefully motivation to change. We as a nation are not so poisoned. We cannot pursue change one Ation at a time. When the world tries to poison the truth with lies, agendas, and contamination, provide an option of purification through simplification. Simply tell your true story, share your heart, and then lend your ear to hear someone else's frustration. When the world sees or says that there's not enough time left to make a difference, tries to get you to see that there's too many things to do, there's not enough time, or for you to see them through, that just leads to our hesitation, our frustration. And one step forward to that, if we can't affect any change, that gives way to procrastination. Instead, we should choose prioritization by choosing to change where and what you can, what we can, what I can, here and now, today, change. And that's usually ourselves. When the voices of the media or the voices in our minds try to paint what feels wrong a color that's easier on the eyes, are we, when we do that, just making the irrational seem rational? And that can be just rationalization. Ask. Don't just accept rationalization. Always seek authentication. When we first gathered here together today, I threw at you a sound-alike to spike your ears and perk your fears by starting this topic of Ations to sound like Asians. I know. I'm glad you're still here with me. It's your personal demonstration that you do not too easily succumb to generalizations. And good for you, because generalizations are just one step away from discrimin-ations. I said this before, I say it again. Listen like you're dying to hear by dissecting what you're trying to hear. And that necessitates seeking unique specifications. Specifications that we all have and all deserve to have recognition for. Sorry, recognition was an Ation, not an Ation. That's my explanation. All right, I've had fun, but now the fun is done. Why? Because the real Ation causing possibly the most frustration and alienation in our nation today is victimization. I looked it up on the interweb for some antonyms, some opposites, and when I did, my biggest fears had come to life. I'm not kidding. It's almost too late to stop it, y'all. I do say almost, because here's what I saw. Listed for antonyms of victimization were, and I quote, good fortune, good luck, well-being, and at ease. Huh? What the fudge? Here comes the judge. If we have to rely on good fortune and good luck to not feel subject to victimization, aren't we just still being victimized? But this time we're victims of chance and circumstance. Powerless? I don't think so. This is the explanation and the exemplification of how we're associating with the wrong Ations. Instead of victimization, let's make it realization. And empowering realization of our dreams and hopes through inspiration and some activation. And perhaps the aforementioned perspiration. I love to hang around with sweaty Ations. Why, you may ask? Why do I like fraternization with some sweaty Ations? Well, we all have our excuses for how we are, for our whys, and that's called justification. And the most effective antonym that I saw on the old interweb for justification, for that, the antonym was to question. Simply put, to ask. So the next time someone tries to make you suffer through with their nations and spend time with their Ations, their justifications, remember to ask. Ask yourself, ask them. Seek authentication with the question, is that true? Then, listen for what rings truth to you within the explanation. And now, more words of wisdom to wow your socks off from the Live Life Lean Guide itself. Entry page 348. The greatest fine art of the future will be the making of a comfortable living from a small piece of land. Abraham Lincoln. And the guide's point of view on this? AKA, also known as a vocation with procreation on a teensy tiny location. So what do you think about that? Using the Live Life Lean guided journal system, what have you learned recently that's new? What have you earned recently that wasn't just handed to you? Where have you added to the world that's bigger and beyond you? And now, be grateful for all of that. Reflect on it, respect it, and before you navigate somewhere next, like, subscribe, and share to show you care. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying your copy of the Live Life Lean, LEAN guide. Enjoying it almost as much as I did creating it. And if you don't have a copy yet, go on over to amperage.com or Amazon and get started today experiencing the amazing power of knowing every day is literally yours to be grateful about, and you need never feel unfulfilled again. I'm Jim Hall, and until next time, good health, God bless, and now go get a little dirty learning something new, earning what's not given to you, adding to this crazy world that we share, and navigating your way to something new and next.